part 2, answers for social justice warriors. Let's just get straight into it.
Why is it that this feminist represents all feminists, but this men's rights activist doesn't represent all men's rights activists?
Whoa, wait, sexism all of a sudden? Ladies and men are different? So we're supposed to punch men and not hit ladies and open doors for men, but not ladies? Fuck you, get out of my face, you tiny piece of shit.
Because for starters, one is a person who is a protester self-identifying as a feminist, interrupting a seminar and a speaker, and the other is a pissed off guy getting a sandwich at Mac Daddy's, and we can't tell what group he represents. That's a big fucking difference.
Why am I continually asked to answer for the views of feminists if I agree with feminism's overall aims, but don't agree much with those particular feminists? Does that mean that I can ask you to answer for anybody who labels themselves similarly to you, even if you don't agree much?
Yes. People are allowed to ask questions. I know that seems like a new concept to you social justice warriors who usually just say shit like, go educate yourself, because they really don't have an argument. But yes, people should be able to ask you any fucking question in the world. Any question. That's the nature of reality. Whether you agree with a person or not, they should still be free to ask you whatever questions and find out what your stance is on that viewpoint, right? And if you go throwing yourself into the same group, then why would you expect that they wouldn't consider you the same as one of those people? How fucking ridiculous. Use your brain. God damn. There are no stupid questions, only stupid people.
If SUs are bad because they spend too much time whining and don't talk about real problems, then why aren't you talking about those problems instead of just whining about the other people over and over and over for literally years? I mean, in the scale of priorities, that's like even lower, right? You know, you've got the real problems, you've got the things that feminists worry about, and then you've got you going, how dare they? How dare they have different priorities from me? Why can't they do what I do? Whine about whining forever for a living. That's healthy.
That is exactly what we're trying to do. Worry about the real fucking problems. And every time we talk about how women are being treated like third-class citizens and there is a real rape culture and it's in the Middle fucking East, there is real slavery and it's in the Middle East. And every time we try to do that, we get brought back to hear about manspreading and about some dumb-ass social justice warrior nitpicking bullshit. We are the ones trying to deal with the real issues. You are the one trying to derail every chance you get. Virtue signal, call everyone racist, derail. It's really ridiculous that you would frame this question in a way that once again, you are the victims of unearned, attention or some shit like that. You guys are a bunch of fucking drama queens who could never stand losing, even in an argument. So you just have to fucking find a way to make it seem like you won and go strutting around like you're a fucking badass when you never even engaged in the conversation. It seems like none of you motherfuckers ever heard of debate or heard of debate or went to a debate class. It's just ridiculous.
Why don't you seem as concerned with actual feminist theory in academia as you are with wrecking people for views?
I got breaking news for you. Nobody seems that concerned about feminist theory in academia. That's the reason the only job they got is to teach that fucking same thing. There's no fucking factory out there that produces feminist theory. That's the only job they're gonna get is right there, which is why they whine about having that degree and claim, oh, there's no jobs, this isn't right. Why would there be a job in a field that is fucking stupid? Women have accomplished their goals. Feminists have accomplished equality at the end of second wave feminism. Now, do you mean why do people not care about feminist supremacy in academia? For obvious reasons. The same they wouldn't want white power or black power or brown power in there either. People can see that it's a supremacist group.
Since so many of you profess to be admirers of second-wave feminism as opposed to third-wave feminism, I thought it would be interesting to ask which second-wave feminists in particular do you appreciate? Which books written by second-wave feminists have you read and found interesting? Which second-wave feminist activists have you specifically admired as you formed the opinion that you like second-wave feminism but you have no use for third-wave feminism? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, you Cuckleberry Finn-looking motherfucker. I'll tell you who my favorite is. Christina Hoff Sommers. She calls herself an equity feminist. She has a popular YouTube channel called The Factual Feminist. And my favorite books of hers are Who Stole Feminism and the War Against Boys. But it doesn't matter. You guys won't call her a real feminist, right?
You do understand that reading the title of a book or an article or watching the first 15 seconds of a video is not going to give you a deep, nuanced understanding of what that book or article or video is about, right? That being said, how can you expect to understand or critique feminist sources if you don't even attempt to understand what they're trying to say?
Nobody gives a fuck about feminist sources. We give a fuck about feminist actions. Pulling fire alarms. Punching people in their faces. Screaming at conventions where people paid to come see people speak. That's what people care about, and that's what people are criticizing and complaining against usually. Not feminist sources. Not the definition in the dictionary. If you don't understand the difference, I don't know what to tell you. Continue to hide wherever the fuck you're hiding in this world, in your safe space, because it's going to be a really rude awakening when you find out there is nuance in the world, but it's just not your retarded idea of it.
Why is trying and failing to debunk a study into sexual assault the #1 priority for a rational thinker now? Does it maybe say something about your priorities? Does it maybe? Nah, it's fine, it's the feminazis, we have to stop them. They're taking away our video games. Look, Anita, I'm sorry, but I can't actually destroy video games. That doesn't make any sense.
Once again, you have it completely backwards. Anti-social justice warriors didn't try and fail to debunk a sexual assault study. But there was only like 1 or 2 studies that had it ass backwards, and they did everything wrong, and it's well known. All the rest of the studies, by even all FBI, the fucking FBI, Pew studies, the real reliable fucking studies. Look it up. Do some real fucking research. You have it exactly backwards. You have tried and failed to push this 1 in 5 rape statistic narrative, which is a bunch of bullshit that anyone who even bothers to take 1 second and look into it will find that shit out. But no matter how many times you're told, it doesn't matter. Do you realize that 1 in 5, you would know, everyone you knew would have practically been raped, man? Because your dumbass don't know every girl in the world. Your little cuck ass probably don't know one.
One of the major arguments that I see in many of your videos is that it is possible to separate criticism of the religion of Islam from the actual Muslim people. And yet, this line seems to be crossed very often. I see things like raghead or camel fucker or other things like that in your comment sections. I see people taking very serious shots at Muslims in videos and hangouts, and they don't get called out, at least not that I can see. So my question is this: why should a person of conscience who is concerned about the Muslim people and their community not being harmed or mistreated, why should they believe that you're actually only attempting to look at the ideas and talk about the ideas if you ignore bigotry that's occurring right in front of you? And in that light, would you be willing to break bread and salt with moderate Muslim people on your videos, have hangouts, invite them to your channels, just in order to build some bridges there and to learn more about what they think and how they feel and what their experience has been, so that information and knowledge can be furthered?
So let me get this straight. You're more upset about people's reaction to their friends and families getting murdered in cold blood and blown to pieces by a bunch of Islamic jihadists. But you're more worried about somebody making a rude comment on social media somewhere. This is the problem. This is exactly the problem we're always saying. We're trying to deal with the real issues. Social justice warriors are nitpicking and worried about the dumbest shit. You know, they should be worried about the people that are getting blown to bits. A little bit ago, we had 5 attacks in one weekend on American soil. 5. This has never stopped. This was happening long before America was an idea in George Washington's head. But keep complaining about that social media and you being upset. Keep complaining about that. Who is ignoring bigotry? I believe it's you guys, making excuses for the very culture that does this, that starts all this. And you're worried about a reaction. Yes, it's atrocious if any of them are having violence done upon them. But that's an if and a but. And if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a fucking Merry Christmas, wouldn't we? But we're actually getting killed by them. They're actually blowing us up all the fucking time. They're running people over in trucks and shooting people in malls all around the world. Who is making excuses for bigotry?
Do you deny that systemic racism against black people is like a thing in general? If so, what? Okay, just step up, just cover your ears for a second and let the smart people talk. If not, why is it so much more important to you to demonize groups like Black Lives Matter than to actually use your platforms to discuss actual solutions to issues surrounding race and racism?
I'm not denying that racism exists, but in order for it to be institutionalized, we must be able to point to a law on the books, right? Otherwise, what's the institution? It's just some racist that work there or some shit, right? Some racist that owns this company or that one or whatever. And yeah, that fucking sucks and it's atrocious. But that's not the same thing as institutionalized, written into the law, because if there was, I hope to God, I'll be fighting against that shit too. And I believe it's important as a true egalitarian to fight against any supremacist group. And Black Lives Matter is a black supremacist group. And feminism is a female supremacy group. And the KKK is a white supremacy group. And I am against them all.
If you've ever discussed or done a video about black on black crime, when are you going to do a video about white on white crime and what we as white people can do to solve the problems in our community?
I've never done a video on black crime, so I guess I don't have to answer that part. And white on white crime is called the news. Because they don't report on black crime, but they report on white crime all the fucking time. As a matter of fact, a lot of the other times when other races do shit, they blame that shit on white crime. If the excuse for having Black History Month is that all the rest of the months are automatically White History Month, then white on white crime is definitely the fucking news.
Why is a literal teenager's different definition of racism from you so horrifying that you all have to go, no! No, we have to stop him! We've got to debunk him now! Ah!
I'll tell you why it's that horrifying. It's because it makes one group not human. It doesn't count when it's against white people for some irrational fucking reason. The same way as it was atrocious, the definition in which they could keep black people subjugated as slaves and considered them non-human. Does that shit seem atrocious to you? Whatever excuse they needed, that's why the definition that excludes white people from being able to have racist things done to them from the definition is atrocious. You are the definition of there are no stupid questions, just stupid
Wherever
people.
did you get the idea that racism was a self-applied identity? And if the only true racists are the racists who self-identify as racists, how can we ever expect to make any social progress to reduce racism? Or did I just answer my own question?
Oh my God, and we return to Steve Sjws. What a surprise. You know, how bittersweet is even this motherfucker's little grin, you know, a little shit-eating grin. He thinks he's so fucking smug and shit. Half of me wants to smack the taste out this fool's mouth, but I realize that's probably already been done by whoever his wife is fucking on the regular with their dick. We are not the ones that give that much of a shit about labels. I don't give a fuck if people want to call me a racist or not. But usually those people don't want to hear me out. Guaranteed, if they heard me out, they would be able to sign off on that shit that I'm not. But most people don't want to go through that kind of process and get to know people. They want quick answers with which they can put people as an us versus them situation and make them the enemy. And that's exactly what you fucking do. And you, of all people, Mr. Block Everyone, Steve Sjws, it's really unbelievable that you're trying to take this standpoint as if you're trying to build bridges. Social justice warriors are the ones that are so worried about words, pronouns, ban bossy, call me by my pronoun. You can't say this, you can say that. It's not the people who are against you. We don't give a fuck what you call us. This is why I wanted to do this thing after the election. Because, see, you had that cocky-ass attitude. Because you just thought everyone's on your fucking side. All you can do, and even after the election, is call everyone who voted for Trump a racist. I didn't vote for Trump, but he's clearly a better choice than crooked Hillary. Every time with you, Steve Sjws, you drive me off the rails. That's all I can take for today. I'll come back later with another part. Until then, Socrates, peace.